What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Take Three podcast. We're here. Conference championship weekend is upon us. We're 2 days away. Probably, I'd say the final four best teams have made it. You could argue last week as it dwindled down, the last six best teams remained by Sunday. The Bengals, they took care of business. Kind of shocked me. They made it look relatively easy. Josh Allen just did what he did, man. That team had no rhythm. The Bills had nothing for the Bengals. It looked like the Bengals were better prepared, even missing 60% of the O-line. They looked ready to go, dominated in the snow. That was impressive, to be honest. The Chiefs took care of business. Obviously, the Mahomes ankle thing, it's lingering into this week. He has no injury designation heading into the Bengals game. That's interesting. We know a high ankle sprain doesn't heal in 4 days. Got to see his mobility on the field after a week of practice. He was moving around. And then the NFC side, the 49ers, they didn't look great. I mean, it was a game where, Brock Purdy wasn't amazing. He did enough. Dak did what he usually does, right? 200 yards, 2 picks. He did the specialty, man. Found a way to lose. Cowboys fans blasting him. Skip Bayless saying Cooper Rush would have won. Okay, that's hilarious. And then obviously the Eagles took care of business. That Giants bullshit. Glad to get that one out of the way. Thanks to the Giants though for giving us that game. That's a good little warm-up game just to kind of get back in rhythm. Everything seemed good and we dominate. But getting here to a conference title, I only have one question kind of exiting the last round, and then we can get straight into the conference championship. If you're the Bills, what do you do going forward, right? I mean, you laid an egg. You were at home, and you got teed up and dominated at home. They didn't even look like they remotely deserved to be there. They didn't look prepared. What do you do? I mean, Sean McDermott, he's been there 6 years now. The offensive line sucks still. They don't have any run game, and I like what Colin Cowherd. I've listened to him this week. He kind of summed it up perfectly. That team has no identity on offense. They kind of just call plays and they run around and say, Josh Allen do this, Josh Allen do that, but they don't have any type of identity. You look at these final four teams, they all have an offensive identity, right? So yeah, what do you make of the Bills? What do you do if you're the Bills going forward?
Yeah, the Bills kind of put themselves in a tricky predicament. Like they clearly missed Brian Dable because Josh Allen is a roller coaster and he had him under control, which I legitimately think matters a lot. They're supposed to be the next AFC team behind the Chiefs. Obviously, it's the Bengals and not the Bills. The Bills have gotten further away from the Super Bowl, it seems. I still think missing Von Miller is a big deal, but like that doesn't explain the offense. Like Josh Allen has to be better, and they need a run game. They need a better offensive line. They need more consistency, and like Josh Allen has to kind of mature and when he as a quarterback. And what I mean by that is like you cannot go for home run knockout plays all the time. It was incredibly frustrating watching the Bills on third down go to Gabe Davis deep. It's like, no, like pick up the 4 or 5 yards first and then take some shots. Like I did not understand all the deep shots on third down. I thought it was kind of like immature play calling to me. They would run the ball first and second, not get much, and then take a deep shot. It's like, no, like get into a rhythm, throw the ball on first down, take 4 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards, 8 yards, 9 yards. You don't need 25, 30-yard chunk plays every single time. And like we've seen Mahomes kind of transition. He was all big plays, and then he kind of learned how to take more chunk plays and just take smaller gains and get first downs. And like that's something I don't see Josh Allen doing. I think that was a huge component. Like they're missing a few pieces on the roster, but like outside of that, Josh Allen has to learn to take first downs and not just go for home runs all the time. I thought that really stood out to me. And honestly, if you're the Bills, you kind of just run everything back and just try and get better and sharpen all your tools. Hope Von Miller returns to form and like because you don't have a ton of mobility cap space wise and yeah, you can draft well, but like I don't have a ton of confidence in that. And rookies coming in and making big impacts. Like to me, the Bills are kind of like they're kind of stuck where they are. But the caveat is where they're at is like when they play their ceiling game, they're Super Bowl caliber, but you can't rely on that every week. So like to me, if you're the Bills, you kind of just you got to just sharpen your tools and your fundamentals. You got to get better.
Yeah, I look at the Bills now. I think they're a year, it could go into two. I think they're a year or two too late. Obviously they did miss Von Miller, but I mean, it goes back to if you could tell them last year, hey, we don't go out and spend that money on Von Miller. We go invest that into a left tackle. We go invest that into a guard. We invest that into a right tackle. I think that would have been better suited for that team. The O-line, it can't be 6 years in. I'll pose a weird question. If you're the Bills and Sean Payton called you up right now and said, I'd like to come in, I'll be the next head coach, would you fire Sean McDermott? I mean, if I'm the Bills, it's a no-brainer. no-brainer for me. They're a small community, but I think I would part ways with McDermott. I think you pair Sean Payton with Josh Allen. That's a nasty combination. But yeah, I mean they just lack that. I mean you're at home, you're in the snow. What's the reason for the deep shots? They didn't even really use Josh Allen's legs. It was so weird. I watched a half of football.
No.
I don't even think I saw him run. I can't remember watching that game him run. I was like, I watched this all year, him run like a crash test dummy. You get down to the point where your season's potentially over, their backs against the wall, and he doesn't run the ball at all. So they have some serious yeah, I don't know. Them and the Chargers, right? They're two teams that kind of just call plays. They kind of run and just they don't have anything an offensive identity. I like that thing. They got stuff to do. You know, as you said, they don't really have flexibility. They'll probably run it back. But I mean, the Sean Payton thing, if he did call up, right, he's been rumored with the Broncos. I could argue if you could get him Josh Allen, he would probably take the Bills in a heartbeat over the Broncos. But yeah, I mean, they're in a weird spot. I think they're a year or two too late to the dance.
Yeah, it feels like they've gotten further away from truly being Super Bowl contenders. They lost that conference championship, and then they lost the coin flip in the divisional round last year. And then this year, not only was the Bengals game disappointing, they were very disappointing in the wild card round against Miami too. They escaped a Skylar Thompson-led Dolphins team. Like that should have told us more.
Yeah, I mean, I knew, last week I knew like a possession. Honestly, after the first possession, I was like, this shit could be wraps. Like the Bengals had no issue, went down the field. There was like no resistance. Saw the Bills drive. I said they have no heart. And that's where we get to this week, right? That's where the Bengals move on. We're to the four final teams. Let's jump into the first one. Obviously, the NFC kicks things off on Sunday, 3:00 Eastern on Fox. Our Philadelphia Eagles host the 49ers, 2.5-point favorites. According to ESPN, we're 65% chance to win. I would say the two best rosters, top to bottom, left in these playoffs. Right, you go to the AF side. These two rosters are absolutely they're loaded. I mean, you got Bosa, you got Hurts, you got AJ Brown, Debo, Kittle, Trent Williams. There is literally Pro Bowlers, All Pros, future Hall of Famers everywhere on this football field on Sunday. And I mean, yeah, where are you at going in? What are some things you're looking at heading into Sunday? It's a big one. Obviously, there's a little bit of nerves. I don't know. I'm kind of calm. Like I have a good feeling heading into this. It kind of feels as I kind of brought this back to 2017. This team coming in, they have a ton of talent. The 49ers, great football team. They're well coached, but it feels very like that Vikings team. That was a great football team. They were coached up, but the quarterback wasn't really ready for that moment, and he's heading into this stadium. It's going to be crazy. I watched a shaky first half in the wild card round against Seattle. I watched kind of at times last week Dallas gave Brock Purdy fits where Dallas could have very easily won that football game. So what are you looking at heading into the NFC title game in Philadelphia on Sunday?
Yeah, I think the Eagles are in a phenomenal spot. Obviously, they're hosting the game. I think the link's going to be absolutely rocking. I think the atmosphere is going to be electric, and I feel good about the Eagles. Obviously, I'm biased, but like they're in a really good spot. The Niners have not looked like world beaters the last 2 weeks. They've won their games, and the second half of the Seattle game was very, very good. But the Niners look very beatable. I think the key is I think Philadelphia is going to be able to run the ball on them, and like. I know the Niners D line is so damn good and no one's ever able to run the ball, but like the Eagles have a phenomenal offensive line between Jalen, Miles Sanders, some RPOs. I expect them to be able to run the football, and I think it's going to spread them out, and I think it's going to be kind of trouble for the Niners because they're not used to being able to get ran on, especially quarterback runs. We've seen quarterback runs eat up this Niners team, and not necessarily designed runs. Maybe where plays break down and Jalen just gets loose. I think his legs and the run game is going to be a huge part of it, and I expect the Eagles D-line on the other side to have a really, really good game. Dallas slowed down Christian McCaffrey and Debo, at least on the ground. I expect Philadelphia to be able to do something similar. Now, the way to attack this Eagles defense is to run the ball, so that does make it tricky, especially when you got Christian McCaffrey on the other side and it's Kyle Shanahan. But I think if we can just get them into some third and long situations, some drop backs, and we have the Eagles defensive line just teeing off on them, I think they're going to have a field day. Like, I think that is the real key, right? I think we can get to the quarterback better than Dallas could. We have the most sacks in a season. I expect Hassan Reddick, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox. I expect the D-line to really show out and do their thing. So to me, that's the key, right? Getting them into third and longs, putting the pressure on Brock Purdy's shoulders and allowing the defense to kind of tee off. And then offensively, I think the run game is going to be huge to spread out the Niners and keep them honest.
Yeah. I think controlling that line of scrimmage, everything I saw up front last week for us was great, obviously, but we're going up against a better front. Yeah, I mean, if we can run the ball like that against this defense, we're sitting in a pretty spot. But I think it comes down to, what will that script look like for the 49ers out of the gate? Can Brock Purdy, is he able to go on the road in an environment where the crowd's going, absolutely nuts and silence it? He's going to have to lead a drive. I mean, even we saw in 2017 when the Vikings, they let a drive down the field and kind of silenced it for a little bit, but then the very next one turned the ball over for a pick six. So I think it is, can the 49ers script, can it be executed perfect enough to keep this crowd out of the game and kind of keep Brock Purdy under control, right? He's going to be in a moment he's never been in before. Jalen Hurts is he's been in some big games. He's been in some national championships, some SEC title games. He's played big football games before. So, I mean, it comes down to Brock Purdy's shoulders. I think if the Eagles can, get after him, force him to do uncharacteristic things, which 8 other clubs so far haven't been able to do since he's won every single start, which is kind of insane. Like, I laughed when Brock Purdy got trotted out. I was like, there's no way, like, Brock Purdy's not going to be able to continue this. But yeah, I think the defense, Hassan Reddick, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, those big guys, can we shut down their run game as well, right? Christian McCaffrey's kind of had a resurgence entering that Shanahan offense. He's been good. Debo's nasty. I just think it's, you got to be able to keep the crowd into it, get after Brock Purdy, get him to throw an interception. He throws an interception early. Honestly, it could be wraps because I think he will be rattled down to the gills. And then Jalen Hurts just playing clean football, doing his thing. I think we'll see a little bit more running out of him this week. He didn't do a ton last week, but we really didn't need to do it. The backs were killing him. Gainwell was getting 10 yards a pop, right? Boston Scott was doing his thing, got a touchdown against the Giants, and Miles Sanders obviously did his thing. So yeah, I think it's that comes down who can control the line of scrimmage, the clock. Can we keep the crowd going? Maliata against Bosa will be interesting. Bosa's probably the defensive player of the year, right? How will Maliata hold up? We know Lane Johnson looked great coming off the couple weeks missed with the groin injury. He looked solid, but can we keep Nick Bosa in line off the edge? Jason Kelce should do his thing. I feel good going into this game. There's been games where I've been weary, but this one feels good. It feels like we have everything going our way. Home crowd, the better quarterback, but it should be fireworks, right? As I said, these two rosters, like top to bottom, are elite rosters. You look at both the quarterbacks on manageable contracts, right? Two franchises that kind of manage the cap, hit on their quarterbacks. Obviously the Niners got a little bit lucky with Brock Purdy, but they also had Trey Lance on a rookie deal. So I mean, I'm excited for the NFC title on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, and the quarterback picture is so interesting because I've been talking to some other people at work, and there seems to be kind of a common opinion of people not trusting either quarterback. And I've heard things, well, Jalen's only played 2 NFL playoff games too, technically, one last year, one this year, same as Brock Purdy. But it's like, it's just the demeanor in which they lead their teams and their overall football experience. Clearly, Jalen has more. I mean, from the Alabama National Championship to then transferring, going to a different system, being Heisman finalist. Did he win the Heisman? I don't remember if he actually won or not. And then at Oklahoma, having a phenomenal year. Those are two completely different offenses. The fact that he was young and he handled it so maturely, and then he comes into the league where Carson Wentz was the guy. He had the big contract. He was mature there. And like every time I hear Jalen speaks, he leads with confidence and maturity. And I'm not saying anything negative about Brock Purdy, but like it just brings me so much confidence in Jalen. And honestly, to the other side, like Brock's been very good in his spots, and he was good at Iowa State. Clearly not the same level of player or program, but like I expect Brock Purdy to. I don't expect either of these guys to play nervous or anything. I think Brock Purdy is going to play well too, but I think it's going to come down to experience. And I expect Brock Purdy to make a mistake at some point, and I don't think Jalen's going to make a mistake.
Exactly. Big one for us. Avonte Maddox is back. And then I didn't even mention, I mentioned Bosa going up against Maliata. Trent Williams, he's got to go up against Hassan Reddick. I think you touched on it. He had 16 sacks this year, only 2.5 behind Bosa. So we got some elite pass rushes, some good O lines. Teams are, we're in a good spot. I'm excited. Hopefully we take care of business. We're both rolling Eagles, right? We're not picking against the Eagles. They're our team. You literally have an Eagles background. But yeah, Eagles, hopefully they take care of business, and it'll be exciting. Hopefully AJ Brown can kind of get back there. He's a little frustrated. I expect a bigger day out of him on Sunday, right? Kind of the weak part of that Niners defense is that secondary. But when you got a guy like Fred Warner lurking the linebacker spot, their linebackers are nasty as well. So a lot of fireworks Sunday, NFC title game, 3:00 Eastern. And now let's move on to the rematch, which if you ask Bengals fans, they own the Chiefs, right? I saw some bullshit today. What was it? It was like paternity tests or something for Cincinnati or Burrow being Mahomes' father. I was like, dude, these guys are getting like crazy in Cincinnati, right? It's almost like
They are.
you kind of want them to get humbled. I see Eli Apple on Twitter going crazy, and I'm like, that guy bites at every move. Like he literally a bad throw, and he's celebrating like he did something, even though he bit horrendously on a double move. We got the Bengals and the Chiefs again, rematch of last year, literally the same spot. The line has swung back and forth like crazy. It opened up at Chiefs. I think it was Chiefs -1. Then it literally swung to Bengals, got as good as I think 1 or 1.5, and then it swung all the way back around to Chiefs -1.5. I guess people saw Mahomes practice, do a spin, throw a couple footballs, and they swung it. I don't know, probably some sharp action, throwing money right to get picks wherever they want it. But Burrow 3-0, I believe, in their last 3 against the Chiefs. What do you make going into Arrowhead? They're calling it Burrowhead too now. It's like this is insane. So what are you looking at? Sunday late game on CBS. You think the Chiefs finally sting Burrow? You think they finally miss 60% of the O-line? I said that last week. It obviously didn't happen because the Bills don't show up prepared to play football at home in the playoffs. But yeah, will Mahomes on potentially 1.5 legs get the job done and head back to the Super Bowl?
I'll say this, storyline wise, Mahomes is set up for like a legendary performance if he goes out there and slings it and takes him to a Super Bowl again on one leg. It's such an interesting matchup. You know what's funny about the Bengals and Burrowhead and everyone talking so much shit is the players that are talking so much are not like the great players. It's not coming from Joe or Jamar Chase or anything. It's coming from the other guys. Even though Joe and Jamar are the ones that will back it up. I think this is going to be a phenomenal matchup. I think on paper right now, based off health of the quarterbacks, like I think everything kind of points to the Bengals. Like I kind of feel like the Bengals, how do I put this? I kind of feel like the Bengals are going to go in and take care of business. This was my preseason prediction, but I had the Bengals losing for the Chiefs to go back to the Super Bowl, and I'm going to stick to that. My thought process here is that the Bengals offensive line is still beat up. Obviously, they had a bad offensive line last year, and they still got it done, and they're still here. And it's like, well, we didn't really see Buffalo take advantage. I think we're going to see Kansas City take advantage. I think Chris Jones is going to get after it. They got Carlos Dunlap. They got a few guys that can really really rush the passer. And I expect Kansas City's D-line to kind of make things tough for Joe. If Joe Burrow is going to scramble like last year, stiff arm break, get out of the pocket, throw it down the field, then, you just kind of tip your cap, right? Like that's a guy just out there making plays, and Mahomes is kind of hobbled. He might not be able to match that. So that's where I get really, really nervous. But I mean, when does Kansas City ever get to be like, hey, we're getting counted out, we're the underdogs? Like in the Mahomes era, like they've hosted every AFC Championship game. They've been the big dogs every single time. They finally lost to the Chiefs last year or to the Bengals. I mean, and now all of a sudden, like he's on one leg. They're talking so much mess. It kind of feels like the public's back in Cincinnati. I think Kansas City's in a really good spot. Like they lost again this year. If this is the team that's been plaguing them, they have a phenomenal opportunity to finally get over the hump and beat Cincinnati, which is crazy to say because we're talking about Mahomes and the Chiefs. But like, I think I'm picking Andy Reid and the Chiefs here to just kind of figure it out and just win by a touchdown or a field goal, one possession, just to like. I'm not extremely confident in it because this game is a damn coin flip and Joe Burrow is that guy. But like I'm going with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid just to kind of figure it out, get real creative on offense. I don't think we're going to see anyone have a monster day like stat wise, including Travis Kelce. I think it's going to be very spread out. And then I'm relying on the D-line of the Chiefs, Chris Jones in particular, to make some big plays and really take advantage of that offensive line that the Bills could not take advantage of.
Yeah, they're still missing 60%. I don't know. I mean, there's really no analysis that you can really dive into to really kind of pick this, right? It's literally the truest coin flip. I'm going with the Bengals. Didn't think I'd be going with the Bengals, but I sat there and thought, and I'm going to lean with them. It's pointing that way. For all the Bengals fans saying they own Kansas City, I mean, they have won the last 3 matchups all by a combined 9 points. So they're a bunch of 3-point wins, right? Last year in the AFC title game, they were down 21-3, kind of miraculously came back to shock the Chiefs. So I look at this one. I don't know. I think they have experience. They know what it feels like to be in there, right? It's like a fight, right? You fight the same guy 3-4 times. You're kind of been in there. I don't expect them to come out as antsy. Joe Burrow is that guy. They will miss. They're still missing 60% of the O line, but I mean, it didn't matter last week. They played in the snow and did their thing, right? I mean, they were super confident. So yeah, I don't really have any analysis. I'm trusting Joe Burrow. He's Joe Cool. He's calm. He's not going to turn it over. He's not going to force the rock. And I don't know what is Mahomes going to look like, right? If he has to get outside of the pocket, that's one thing Patrick Mahomes that makes him so great is he doesn't even look athletic when he does it, but he's able to scramble for 15 to 20 yards and just kill you, right? That's just like it stabs a knife straight through your defense. Is he going to be able to do that on Sunday and get out of the pocket and do all those special things that he did? And I don't think the Bengals are going to do that same shit the Jags did where they just let Travis Kelce catch everything. Like they should be doubling Travis Kelce, go out, have somebody else beat you, whether it's McCole Hardman that's coming off the IR and coming back and he's going to beat you, let him do it. If it's Juju Smith-Schuster, let him do it. Pacheco, any of the other guys. Like I think the Bengals are going to be smart enough. They've been in this fight before with the Chiefs, and I expect them to win 24-21, close game. And it's just crazy. You go back and you look at Brady's run, like he was able to stay healthy. Those teams were able to stay healthy. When I was watching that injury last week, I was to Mahomes, I was like, that's how crazy it is. You get these great teams, but then just one fluky moment, a roll of the ankle, a guy falls on your ankle, somebody else gets hurt, and then it's like bang, and you didn't see that during the dynasty of the Patriots with Tom Brady, right? That health, luck. But yeah, I'm taking the Bengals. Joe Burrow gets it done again, but I don't think they own the Chiefs. Like they own the second half. They find ways to win in the second half. But this like thought where you win games by a combined 12 points. If they go off of my prediction, they win this one by 3. They would have won 4 straight by 12 points combined. That's not really owning. You just find a way to get it done when it comes down to it, right? Great football teams are going to beat great football teams.
Yeah, and everything's kind of gone the Bengals' way when it comes to the playoffs last year's, excluding the Super Bowl and the Chiefs matchup. So like, I just feel like I'm just putting it all. It's in Arrowhead. I think it's one of those times where things just kind of go right for Andy Reid and the Chiefs. Not to mention the last time they played this season, the Chiefs basically had it wrapped up, and then Travis Kelce fumbled late in the fourth quarter. And like, if you give me a scenario where it's like the Chiefs are winning and they have the game, they blow it by a Travis Kelce fumble. I don't see that happening more than once in a season like that. That's just unlikely to me. And like, I'm going Kansas City, and it's going to be close. But like, I mean, both of us are just kind of saying the same things, right? It's a pick 'em. Like, good luck truly picking one with confidence.
Yeah, I mean, it's what defense is going to get a stop, or either of these quarterbacks going to throw a turnover. It's literally just split stuff. Is a crazy fumble going to happen? Is like is a penalty going to happen? That's what it comes down to, right? Because these teams, I mean, they're pretty damn evenly matched when you look at it. I mean, maybe you take the Chiefs O line over the Bengals situation right now, but I mean, if they were at full strength, you could argue that the Bengals would have just as good a one. But yeah, I mean, it comes down to coin flip. That's why the line is. Yeah, I just think Joe Cool, man. He's been here. He's been in this stadium. He's not going to be out of the element. He's not going to be like the Jags who kind of were out of their element a little bit at the beginning of the game last week. I think he's going to find a way to get it done. This could be the matchup that we keep saying, right? It feels like kind of that old Patriots Steelers matchups where you get that, or even like Patriots Colts where you keep getting these teams like firing back and forth with each other every single year, and the Bills are just kind of distancing themselves as as one of those teams, like those Phillip Rivers Chargers who are always like there, but they're not actually there. These are the two heavyweights that I think we could see continually meet as long as both quarterbacks stay upright for like the next decade, which I hope, because I mean they're both great. They're both studs.
They wanted it to be Mahomes and Allen so bad, but realistically, it's Mahomes and Burrow, and then we'll see. We'll see about the other group, but as of right now, you can't say it's anyone else other than those two.
Exactly. It's these two guys. And then, yeah, I mean, the Bills, they're mingling down there with the Chargers, to be honest. They're like, I mean, they might win a few more ball games, but they're right on that. Like, yeah, Herbert and Allen are kind of like hanging out right below these guys. I mean, you got Chiefs, Eagles. I got Bengals, Eagles. Kind of any other closing thoughts? I don't have another slide. We're down to literally 3 football games left. It's crazy how fast the seasons went. And I'm just ready to get into it on Sunday, man. I can't wait to sit down, tune in and watch both of these games and really just see some greatness on the field.
Yeah, super excited. I could not be more ready for an Eagles NFC Championship game. If you're betting this weekend, I'll tell you right now, the absolute best bets is Kansas City plus 2.5, and then whoever ends up being the dog for this game, the 1.5, the +1 or +1.5, taking those two and teasing them 6 points so you get them both through a touchdown. That's clearly the best bet of the weekend. So it'd be San Francisco plus 8.5 and Cincinnati +7 or 7.5. I won't be doing that because I'm not backing the Niners in any form or fashion. But if you're betting this weekend, I highly suggest that teaser is clearly the best teaser on the board.
For sure. Highly competitive for this one. Yeah. I got 27-24 Bengals, and I got Eagles winning 27-21 at home. Should be a sweaty one. Yeah, it's going to be a sweaty game, but I think we win. I think we cover. I like the spot. And I think obviously the Bengals get the job done. But I mean, if that's it for you, man, that's a wrap for me. That's going to do it for the conference title preview. Super short one, but yeah, thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Drop any comments, any feedback in the description. Add us on Twitter. Send us a Twitter DM. Do you like our picks? Do you hate our picks? What do you think? What are your best bets for the weekend? But yeah, Spotify link will also be in the description if you listen over on there for audio only listeners. And yeah, we'll be back next week to see who our Super Bowl matchups are and dive into the conference title games going out.